Is Martin with us now?
Yeah, I just had to sit in the car instead so we can do this properly.
That's all
Mwaikaleni for
right.
Shani won't say Shani. Do people speak Chivemba? Because if it was the Chivemba Mwashwaka. No, you people speak English? Come
No,
on.
I think good. Oh, I should have said I think we're a good mix of people. I'm
Okay.
South African. I
Oh, yeah.
believe
Okay, ngiyakhuluma Zulu, so I can kuluma now.
yabona ngiyakhuluma
Ah.
siZulu yabona. Exactly. I'm not 100% sure where Yande's from originally.
She's Zambian because Yande is a Zambian name, no?
Yes.
Zambian as well.
Yeah.
A Thamba Zambia name, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I think I seen Tim in here. Tim, how's it, my guy? Luta, how's everyone doing? I'm a bit winded, so just pardon me. I was just trying to get settled. But there's not much to say from my end. You did the introduction. I appreciate that very much. Just going to center my small talk on just mental health in regards to artists, because since here we are as artists, it's easier for us to talk to one another about the things that we actually go through. And so I usually say depression is a call from your soul telling you to get back to yourself, telling you to get back to who you are at the very core, and not the directions that we've been prescribed for by people, but to who we are at our very core. Now, in order for us to get back to that, one must remember who they truly are, away from the material things that we have garnered over the years, these titles and stuff, and be capable of seeing one from the inside and not from the ego's point of view, which is the one in the mirror, or the character point of view, where we're thinking, how are people going to view me? But from the inside of self, how you view yourself, how do you think of your being, which should be the most important way to move as an individual. For the most part, we start to pick paths that are not our own paths. And you might be thinking, why are you feeling stressed out, down all the time? It's because you're not existing as you. Until you get back to yourself, then you get to understand or see clearly where you're supposed to be. It is very easy for us as artists to fall into those, deep mental states because we create from our emotions, our feelings, how we actually do feel about things is how we create. So I know some of us who complain, no, so and so say they don't like my work, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. But do you like your work? Do you enjoy what you're creating? You know what I mean? Like, in as much as people might critique and all of that, one must be standing in themselves to a point that they know what they're bringing to life. They are intentionally bringing to life themselves. So that way you won't be touched by nobody telling you that they don't like what you're doing, because they're also going to see it from a different point of view, and that is okay. The thing that we must do is to release ourselves from the outward view of us, to release ourselves from how we view ourselves in the mirrors, how people see us, and start to speak as ourselves. That way, no one is going to move you from your path and tell you, no, come and join my path here. No one is going to tell you that what you're doing is not great, because if you do stand wholly in yourself, you will say, I have room to grow. I have room to improve. I have time to change what I need to change about self, and it should never be something that comes from someone else. Also, I will say this for a fact. No one is coming to save you from the inside. Only you can save you. In as much as we can have therapists can just guide you. Even I can just guide you, give you pointers to say, this is where you need to go and look at yourself in order for you to clear your path. But ultimately, it is a choice that we have to make about ourselves and where we want to be, and say, you know what, I'm tired of going back to the very same cycle of things, to the very same place that I've been sat in and thinking things are going to change. Change only happens when we choose to make a change, and we choose ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the only time we get to be free from a lot of things. One moment you start to speak as yourself, guys, let me not even lie to you. I left my mother's house when I was 21. I ran away basically because I've always been an artist. I told my classroom I was going to do art from the 10th grade, I told them I was going to do things in art. And I'm doing exactly what I told them I was going to be doing. The idea of me leaving home was that it was a comfortable place. It was a place where I was comfortable to a point that I was not going to be able to grow. You must be sometimes uncomfortable in order to be pushed to think beyond what is in front of you. You must remove the POV that is right in front of you here and start to see it from the soul, from the spirit, because then you see how the maze actually works. You see the pieces where they're supposed to be at. You see yourself and where you're supposed to be at. But if you're going to be seeing it from the ego, which is the one in the mirror, is that you always think, hey, me, I'm dope, dog. Me, now I'm the one. Nobody can touch me. But ideally, we are mirrors of one another. We are one another on different journeys and experiences. Therefore, how I treat you is how I treat myself. If I'm treating myself with disrespect, if people will disrespect me. But if I can respect me, people will respect me as well. So it matters how we treat ourselves to start with and treat others as well. I know, so I think I heard Luther singing earlier and he mentioned something. I think it was saying something about church. I personally, I am spiritual. I will only teach people one thing that I've picked from the Bible, that is love. Love thy neighbors, you love self, love God with all your heart is ultimately loving self. Because once you understand loving God, you start to figure out that you're loving self. Loving thy neighbor becomes easy because you don't see thy neighbor as thy flesh or character, but you see them as the God happening. That way, we release ourselves from a lot of the things that we are looking at in the material world, talking about, I don't like that dude because he thinks he's cool. No, you think I'm cool? I didn't say that, you know what I'm saying? But it's that we release ourselves from how people view us from the outside. We're not our flesh, but we are the energy, the spirit within the self. And that way, trust me, even when you create, you imbue 100% of yourself in what you're creating. You're not half, pardon my language, half-assing anything when you know who you are. You're not doubting yourself. You're not going to be like, oh, I don't think it's going to work, but you know who you are. So therefore, you're going to move it how it should be moved. So in conclusion is get back to who you are, remember who you are, take time to reflect, actually introspect, and have an inner standing of self. You must know who you are and be intentional about all things that you do. When you make the choices that you make to create something, be 100% intentional that is going, and it's going to be golden. Everything you touch when you do it with authenticity and love will always be golden. And I will say this, the highest vibrations you can exist on is love and authenticity. Authenticity actually above love, in that what you do wholeheartedly, knowingly, will always be gold. And once you know who you are, that you can create from your God nature, your spirit, everything becomes easy. It looks like you're performing magic. Magic is energy manipulation. And once you understand how to move energy, you can make anything work for you. A lot of people ask me, what do you do? And I say, I can't explain to someone exactly what I do, but I'll tell you I am an artist. In that, I am a creator to the point that I can create my living environment. We ultimately are responsible for the universe that we live in. We create what we see in front of us. So if you want to choose to live as you, remember to choose your life how you want to see it. Speak positively about yourself. Be of high vibration in your actions. Even in what you put in your body. We tend to neglect ourselves in so many levels, but we are three bodies, if anything, right? The mind, the flesh, the physical, and the spirit. And these three must be of balance. If you wanted to get in the nitty-gritty of what things like depression and maybe ADHDs and all these other things are, is that they're a very spiritual thing that is happening to you as a being because you're not of balance. You're not balanced in yourself. And balance in the self means your spirit, your physical and your mind must be in balance and in tune with all things, right? That way, trust me, even like how we create art, it becomes like a game to you, because to you, what people think is a complex thing or idea becomes a play. Comes like, hey, I'm just playing, I'm doing this, I'm creating from my mind, and it's like I don't even have to try, you know? So you can teach yourself anything, new skills right now. It's just about, do you know who you are? Do you believe in self? Do you intentionally know where you're going? And also a reminder to people, be grounded in yourselves, touch grass, get to the roots, you know what I mean? Touch grass, connect with yourself as much as possible, meditate, have those inner conversations, have those hard conversations with yourself, ask questions. Ask questions that people do not want you to ask, because that way you're allowing for growth to take place. I don't know how many minutes I've talked, because if I was talking to you guys, I'll probably be talking the entire time. You get me? So
No worries. I just have two questions for you, if you don't mind. I just wanted
awesome.
to know, like, what prompted you to get involved in mental health advocacy and, like, being um encouraged to, like, have conversations like this, like these.
So that's the first part, right? Okay, so I battled my own depression, and I could say, as we are free to speak to one another here, I could say today, if I did not do the inner works, I wouldn't be here.
Mm.
And that's just honest truth. Like, if I had not been able to walk the walk of depression and actually do it by myself, no one holding my hand, I wouldn't have made it. So the reason I got into it is because so many people don't have anyone by their side just to hold their hand, just to be like, I'm here with you, or just be a listening ear, or just be present for people who need, some sort of help. You don't have to say much, but just because like I said, we're mirrors of one another. If I could be there for you, I'm being there for me also. I started to realize that the more I did work on mental health for other people, is that I was also getting to learn a lot of things about myself that I needed to deal with, that I was holding on to. A lot of what was there was that we're holding on to traumas, holding on to experiences and things that have happened to us. Granted, these things have formed who we are at a point, but we have to be able to face these things, because they become poison, and they will cause more poison if
Yeah.
you're not dealing with them. And this is why we go into repetitive cycles, because that feels like home. So you'll go to the very same thing that hurt you in the first place, because it feels like home. It's the one thing that you've always known. So until you can start to face those things and state to say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I want to see different for myself. So that being said, I saw myself going through so much without having so many people to talk to. I figured, why not I be there for people who need someone, at least, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So just for time's sake, just to wrap up, my last question is, how do you think, like, we as, like, a creative community can contribute to mental health awareness and support? And also, like, are there any initiatives that you are involved in, or maybe you started up, so that we can,
Um, so on what we could do is, I guess through our different works, we must not shy away from it. And I will say this mostly maybe for the guys on here, because for us it's very hard to kind of talk about the issues that we go through. Societal norms have set it that way. But I could say, if we could use our various means in art to speak about the issues that people are facing, and we are facing as well, to create awareness in a sense of, I'll say this: we must also learn how to communicate this information. In I feel like there's a misconception when it comes to depression and mental health issues in that we as African children have been raised in a certain way, and if we could find means to address these things and bring them to our forebearers, our parents, our caretakers, and our guardians, in a way that they could easily digest what is being said, because I know for a fact most of you have been told go pray about it. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, no, prayer without works is useless. Stefio, it's not so. So if we could change the language, and if you could pick examples of what needs to be sorted out or to be looked at, like for one, in order for me to bring attention about depression to my own parent, my mom, I had to let her know about what had happened to Robbie Williams, a comedian that for the longest made so many people laugh, was to many someone who was always laughing, who was always joyous. I brought it up to her. I said, this person we watched growing up killed themselves because they were depressed. I started to bring examples to her that of people she would resonate with and be like, you saw this person so happy, but this is what happened. But as well, not to be too aggressive, because it is a hard thing to speak to someone who's also listening from an emotional point of view, where they're closing their ears because you're saying things that sound outlandish to them. So that's why I said we must learn how to communicate and to find the right words to use when we speak on these things. And also on the foundation thing, I'm working towards a project that is going to be a community-based project for artists. It's on a number of different levels, but the brand is called Sheep's Clothing. But we have this project that we're going to be running. It's called Touch. It's basically Ikate Chani project, but it's touch grass. The idea is we as artists will bring in being grounded, and also using our various arts to help the community see different, from pushing sports, arts and stuff like that, so that mental health is kind of pushed into a better direction. But that's what we're currently working towards. So maybe next year, going forward, it's going to be something that we're going to be using as a platform to help, artists and kids alike in our communities. Yeah. Oh, it's going to go bleak.
Thank you so much, Martin. I'm not sure if you're gonna stick around, but we have a Q&A for everybody announcement. We're gonna have like a Q&A at the end, so maybe somebody would want to ask you a question or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.